Hi everyone, my name is Oman and I'm glad that you are back to our Linux tutorial, episode number 2. Unlike episode number 1 on this episode, I opened two windows on the screen. One is my slideshow, which I put some notes for everyone to see and read. And on the right side, I kept Ubuntu App, one of the Linux distributors, to show some good examples of exercises that we're gonna do today during this episode. So on our first episode, what we basically covered is, as you can see, we learned a little bit about the background of Linux, how it was founded, where it is used, and why it is one of the most reliable, secure, and free operating systems that exists apart from Windows operating system and also Mac OS. We also learned about Linux distributions. Distributions basically mean the versions of Linux. So the users can choose type of operating system they would like to, and Linux gives this flexibility to every user. Some of the most popular distributions include Linux Mint, Ubuntu, OpenUse, Fedora, and etc. And finally, we went through the steps how to download and use, install, and set up the Linux operating system on our personal computers. And today's main agenda is to go through some of the most common commands of Linux and see what we can do with those functions. So let's jump to it. Okay. Let's start with home directories. As in every operating system, we have there might be multiple users accessing to the same computer, and they would like to have their own page, that they would like to have their own space where they can keep their files safe, secure, confidential, if you would say so. And unless they give access to other users to their space or their home, in other words, in other operating systems it's called user. In Linux it's called home directory. Nobody can access to their home. The home directories in Linux will be either called, as I mentioned, home or user. For example, we can look into Ubuntu. Let's quickly get first what type of files we have. Now we can just quickly jump into to identify my username and my home directory by just simply typing print work directory pwd. As you can see, my home directory consists of home and omoni. That means omoni is my username. Now let's quickly get the list of all files on this username. Under this username, we just simply type ls and we can see all the files existing inside this inside my username. So that was basically for home directory. And also some of the path names might be quite lengthy for people who regularly access their files and they want to copy, they want to print, they want to change any of their files. To type the whole path name might be a bit troublesome. So Linux introduced the function tilde. As you can see, I'm typing on Ubuntu tilde, and this tilde equals to the whole path name up to the files. For example, instead of me typing, for example, copy any file, for example, lab02, the full path name would be copy /home /omoni /lab03. If I would type the whole path name, I could just type I'll just type to the site copy tilde and then /lab03. So tilde basically replaces or can replace the whole path name up to the file. That's some of the good features of home directory. And sometimes and this is one of the useful features of home, one of the commonly used commands of Linux. Okay, now for example, if I want to find the path name for lab05, for example, that's a different command that we will see today on the next steps. I would use the command find tilde instead of home path name dash name. I would open double quotes, let's say lab05, as we have lab05 here, and then star mark, and then enter. So as you can see, the file lab05, there are two files under lab05, and the path name would be home, omoni, user's name, and then it gets us to the file. So now we can proceed. I hope I could give you basic brief information about home directory. Now we can move to manual pages. Under the manual pages, what is manual pages? The manual or man command can display the entire manual of Linux system. For example, if we would like to access one of the files of the other user, for example, our close friends or our siblings file that we've been given access to, we can use this man command to get the online documentation on the system. For example, let's jump into the first example. I would type man, which stands for manual, and then another man, and it basically gives what is inside, or what is this document stand, what is man document stand for. So when we get the result, as you can see on Ubuntu app, there are multiple content inside this manual. The first one is a name. So man is an interface to the system reference manuals. It also has a synopsis, which shows the syntax of the command, which means what are the main keys that can be used with this command. And then it goes to description, which is the overview purpose of this command. That means man is the system's manual pager. Each page argument given to man is normally the name of the program, utility, or function, etc., etc. It also sometimes gives the section options, which lists all the possible options and arguments for this command and what it can do. Also, sometimes there will be see also part in the manual, which is not very important, but it can be quite useful because it lists commands which have a related purpose. So we go back to our home. I hope this was another useful command which you would use in the future just to access the manual, the Linux manual of any folder or file, which can give the full information about that folder. Now we can move to another interesting command, which is find. In this find, basically this command helps us to find files. As I put on Ubuntu App here, as you can see, find ~name lab05, it helped me to find the path name for the file. So for example, I would let's try to search again another file. Find ~name double quote, let's say employee star, enter. So this command helped me to find total number of files under the name employee, and it lists here, as you can see. Why it is lengthy, I will give explanation for each one of these functions here. So find is a find command. Tilde is, as I mentioned earlier, home directory instead of writing the whole path name. And then -name it means that we are looking for the name of the file. And then inside the double quote we have let's say we have rough name of the file that we're looking for, employee, under the name employee, and then at the end why we use the star or the wildcard is because we want the find function to find all the files under the name employee, list down for us, and then we close the quote. So we will have this result here. Let's see what else we have under this command. So let's do one more exercise so that you can remember this function easily, and you can exercise using it yourself. Dash name, double quotes, let's search for hello world, star, enter. So we have two hello world files inside our folder. All right. And then we can move on to our next slide and then continue our command files, commands on Linux. So the next commands function we have here is, as you can see, it's a bit lengthy word, concatenate files, which is a synonym to combine. I think it makes it easier for you. Basically, it's very useful function when we want to combine the files and print them. For example, we have as among my files, we have multiple files that we want to combine and print at the same time. That's why we can use this concatenation command, or in short form, it's called cat. Let's say I want to print cat. I want to print cat, let's say hello world and lab 10. Okay, so we have the combination function here, cat, the name of the one file, and then the name of the other file. Let's say if you have more than two, you are welcome always just type the names of the files next to each other with a space, and it might print. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. It printed both files for us, and as we can see, these two files being printed on our display. Isn't it interesting to see and to be able to use these commands, right? Okay, let's see what else we can do with this command. Basically, I believe that's good enough for the cat command. Let's clear up our Ubuntu a little bit. Clear. Okay, and let's have our files here open for us to use. And the final command that we have here is printing. To continue just one command before this is cat command. Here we have we are coming back again to printing. So there are basically three major printing commands. The first one is LPR, which stands for line printer. As you can see, I'm typing on my Ubuntu application. Line printer, that's the first one. And the second one, well, the basic function of line printer is to send the file to printer. And the second main function is LPQ, which stands for line printers in queue, and this shows how many tasks, how many jobs are in the queue for at the printer, and the final command is lprm, which stands for line printer remove. That means if the user decides not to print specific file, we can use the command lprm. So let's see one example of how to print one of our files. But I should mention, unfortunately, in my Ubuntu app, this command is not supported. I can show you one example. For example, lpr lab 05, and it gives me command lpr is not found, but can be installed with other functions of the Ubuntu. So instead, I can still proceed and just show you how to use these commands. So we just type lpr, that's a command to print, and then the name of the file. I would like to print hello world file, as you can see here. But as I said, it gives again the same error saying that I need to download other versions of Ubuntu to be able to use it. There is also another interesting functions that can be used. For example, if we have a default printer in a school, but that is busy and we would like to choose a different printer, we can use the following function: lpr, that's a function to print, space -p, which stands for printer, space, let's say our default printer is HP 14, but we also know there is another printer on the other one which is called Epson 2500, and then the name of the file, hello world. So in this command we are giving a task to printer named Epson 2500 to print the file hello world. Okay. So let's move to the other one, lpq, that shows it shows the status of the printer. For example, we can type what's the status of -p, that's printer Epson 2500. It usually gives a message which shows that Epson 2500 is ready and printing. How many, let's say about 20 files on the queue, and then the total size is about 500 bytes of the entire files. Okay. It just gives information on the specific printer about the queue. And lastly, what we can use, the last command that we mentioned just now is lprm, means remove the print job. Let's say we want to remove hello world from the queue. We would just type lprm hello world, and then it will remove, it will cancel the printing task, or else if we want to remove it from Epson 2500 hello world, it's just specifying from which printer to cancel the job. So this is LPRM, line printer remove, to remove the printing job. Okay, well, today today we basically covered 5 commands of Linux, widely used commands. The first one was home directories, where we learned about multiple users having their own space to keep the files. And then we learned about manual pages, which which displays entire manual of the system or the folder. And then we also learned about find command, which is useful to find the files in the Linux system. And then we also went through the cat command, which helps us to combine files and put them into one file and print. And finally, we learned in detail how to the different commands of printing, like printing line printer, and then to learn what are the files on the queue for line printer, and then finally how to cancel the file if the user doesn't want to print it. And then I tried to show some examples on Ubuntu platform. I'm sure you can watch this video again and repeat the commands that I did, and then have your own results. If you have any questions or suggestions of what commands you would like to study, please leave a comment. I would also appreciate if you have any feedbacks on my tutorials. So I'm hoping to be back soon and have my 3rd episode on Linux main commands with all of you. Thanks for your time and your attention. Let's keep learning Linux. Bye-bye.